Welcome, I'm Rabbi Phil Bressler of Beit Am in Corvallis, Oregon, and this is the daily summary video for the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Yomi Daily Halakha Learning Project, covering the passage from Siman 92, Seif 3 to Siman 92, Seif 10. You can find links to the Hebrew and English text of this passage and to the calendar of upcoming passages in this video's description. We're going to wrap up our discussion of medicine on Shabbat, talking about a patient who is critically ill. So when there is sakanat nefesh, that is life-threatening danger, the laws of Shabbat are pushed aside, as we know. And we're going to continue to discuss how do we know if that critical threshold has been reached. If a skilled physician says it's not critical now, but it may become critical if we don't take action, then even if the patient says, it's not necessary to break Shabbat for me, we break Shabbat and do it. Okay, specific wounds and illnesses, are they critical or not? Pain on its own is not considered a wound, but any sort of internal injury where there was some kind of trauma or we know that something is wrong in there, yes, that counts as critical. Wounds to the back of the hand or the back of the foot, apparently, yes, they are considered critical, and you could break Shabbat to treat them. I'm not sure why these are especially high risk relative to other wounds on other parts of the body. The Kitzur must be envisioning some type of injury that was common in 19th century Ukraine that I just don't know about. Things that have a high infection risk, so wounds made by metal, blisters around the anus, swallowing a leech, which sounds incredibly unpleasant, those are all considered critical. Injuries where there's a poisoning risk, like a dog bite or a snake bite, those are considered critical. Any high fever is considered critical. High blood pressure, Kitzur says you should go ahead and do bloodletting and then make a fire to warm them up afterwards. The footnote fortunately says, today we follow modern medical practice and we don't in fact do bloodletting anymore. And eye issues, pain, pus accumulation, watering, bleeding, other symptoms of eye infection, that's also considered critical. A couple of food-related points: you can slaughter an animal to give a patient meat who needs it to cure them. If no kosher food is available. Food that's cooked on Shabbat for a sick person is permitted to a well person after Shabbat ends. I think because it was made for the, legally, as it were, for the purpose of, critically ill patient on Shabbat, it wasn't made by means of transgression, and therefore after Shabbat, the well person can eat it. Finally, the case of a forced transgression. This is not a medical issue per se, but is still potentially a life or death matter. If someone is being forced, a Jew is being forced into a serious transgression, like they're being compelled to worship an idol or compelled to eat pork, something like that. This is apparently a thing that used to happen to Jews. We don't actually transgress Shabbat to save that person. That's not considered a life or death issue. But if they are being forced to wholly convert away from Judaism, we do actually do everything in our power, including violating Shabbat, to save them. As the Kitzur says, we violate one Shabbat for the sake of many. That's all for today. As always, our learning is dedicated to Rabbi Shlomo Gansfried, the author of the Kitzur, and the historic Jewish community of Uzhhorod, Ukraine. See you tomorrow.